It is week 4 in the National Football League, and this week, your Washington Commanders will take on the Arizona Cardinals at State Farm Stadium in Arizona for this matchup here that I know a lot of Commanders fans are really looking forward to, because coming off of that awesome performance, Jaden Daniels on Monday Night Football, one of the greatest, if not the greatest, rookie QB performance in the history of the National Football League. Can they get back on the horse here and really do a good job getting another win and improving to 3-1. I'll let you guys know my keys to victory, have a full scouting report on Kyler Murray, and then my final score prediction for this Week 4 matchup in just a second. But first, like the video, if you want Washington to go into State Farm Stadium and win against the Arizona Cardinals this week and improve to 3-1. So we take a look at this matchup here. Of course, the Burgundy and Gold coming off of that big-time win on Monday Night Football travel to Arizona. They're actually staying there all week to practice in preparation for this Week 4 matchup on the short week. And, Kyler Murray and this offense is actually pretty darn good. We'll talk about them a lot in this show. But I do think that this is going to be a high-flying offensive affair, just like it was on Monday Night Football last week, and it's going to be the best quarterback bringing home the W in this football game. So let's take a look at the Arizona Cardinals and what they're bringing to the table here schematically. Head coach Jonathan Gannon is in his second year there in Arizona. He has a career record of 5-15, which is not very good, but you also have to take into account that the Cardinals roster hasn't been very good, and I actually think this Cardinals roster has been pretty competitive in Gannon's tenure to this point. On offense, it's going to be kind of a Sean McVay-style, third-generation West Coast offense, helmed by Drew Petzing, one of my favorite young offensive coordinators in the National Football League today. Then on defense, Jonathan runs kind of a Fangio hybrid style of defense where he runs a lot of the Fangio quarters and cover 6 and, drop back coverage, all that stuff. But he also throws in some very interesting wrinkles in terms of blitzes that I think are really creative and are among the best in the National Football League. So they kind of have that combination of Fangio match quarters style principles, but they also mix up some really creative blitzes, which make it very difficult on an opposing offense. So you take a look at the results for the Cardinals so far this year. 2 home games, 1 road game. They almost took down the Buffalo Bills on the road in Buffalo in Week 1. They got out to an early lead, but then they lost it, kind of squandered it. Then they killed the Los Angeles Rams at home in Week 2. And then the offense just couldn't really get much going against the Detroit Lions defense. Final score 20-13 on their home turf. Now they'll be in their 3rd straight home game. So it'll be interesting to see how they bounce back from that loss against Detroit. But they were very competitive against that very good Detroit Lions team. Take a look at the offensive pieces that Washington will have to deal with here. Kyler Murray, I think, is one of the more underrated quarterbacks in the National Football League. A lot of people think he stinks because he plays Call of Duty, but he is a super dynamic talent. We're going to talk about what he brings to the table here momentarily. James Conner is another very underrated player. I think he might be a top 10, maybe even borderline top 5 running back in the game when you look at his numbers. Very, very well-rounded running back in James Conner. Marvin Harrison Jr., holy cow, this guy's an awesome player. There are some people here in Commanders Nation that wanted the team to take him over any quarterback. He is that good, so he's going to be a handful. Trey McBride is dealing with a concussion right now. He's questionable to play, but if he's in there, he's a very dynamic tight end. That's also very underrated. It's a key theme for this offense. And then Michael Wilson, another underrated piece on this Cardinals offense. Don't get it wrong, this Cardinals offense can definitely move the football. But then on defense, I think it's a lot more underwhelming, especially up front in the front 7. Budda Baker is Budda Baker. He's awesome. Zaven Collins and Dennis Gardeck, I think, are underrated as an edge rusher duo. They're not elite, but they're pretty good. Sean Murphy-Bunting is the guy they brought in this offseason. Physical man corner. He's going to be going up against Terry McLaurin. And Sterling Thomas, the 5th, their other corner, is just okay. I really had to, stress to find that 5th person to find on this graphic because there's just not a whole lot of dynamic pieces to this Cardinals defense. So what you can expect from this Cardinals team is that they're going to have a high-flying offense. Kyler Murray's going to make some plays. Maserati Marvin's going to be, a really good player as well. They're still very young. They're still kind of gelling together. But this is a dangerous football team offensively. Defensively, I think you can take advantage of them a little bit. But offensively, they're going to put up points, especially if the Commanders' defense doesn't come to play. So still to come here on the Commanders Report Week 4 preview. Keys to victory versus the Arizona Cardinals. A full scouting report on Cardinals quarterback Kyler Murray. And then my official Week 4 score prediction for Commanders versus Cardinals. You guys are not going to want to miss that. So before we get into the rest of today's preview, let's have a word from our sponsor here at Fanatics. You guys can get some awesome Commanders ball caps on their website right now. We all know, and this is something I love about DQ. He's rocking that backwards hat as a head coach in the National Football League. It's his signature look. So if you want to rock the DQ look from your living room, from the tailgate, from the stadium, every single Commanders game day, you can go to chatsports.com/24DH right now to pick up your Washington Commanders cap today. So let's go into the keys to victory here. First one, keep Kyler Murray in the bucket. Now, what does that mean? That means don't let him leak out of the pocket and just keep him in there, because once he leaves the pocket, he's probably top 5 in the league at making things happen off script. He is that special, whether it be with his legs. He's got incredible short area quickness and agility, and he's got incredible arm talent where he can throw it from any platform and any arm angle. And if he's outside the pocket, he is super dangerous. So you can't let him leave. Also, the pocket presence is really good, so he has a really good feel for how to get out of the pocket, so he's very difficult to contain. And then the deep ball accuracy, especially down the boundary, is some of the best in the National Football League. This guy's a dangerous weapon. However, the cons are his lack of size limits what he can do throwing the ball over the middle of the field when he's in the pocket, because he just can't see over the line of scrimmage, over his offensive lineman, because he's just so goddamn tiny. So if he is forced to stay in the pocket, he's going to be limited as a playmaker, and he's going to be limited in terms of where he can throw the football effectively on the field. I do think he's a borderline top 10 NFL QB. That size and that ability to throw over the middle and that inability to throw over the middle from the pocket does limit him. But make no mistake, he is a dynamic talent. And if you let him run all over the yard, he is going to make you pay for it. Then another thing you got to do against Kyler Murray to be very, very successful against this offense is you have to defend the perimeter. Okay, you got a guy like Marvin Harrison Jr. who's going to be his favorite target on the outside. Kyler Murray from the pocket is one of the most efficient quarterbacks from throwing outside the numbers. So that's going to go on Benjamin St-Juste. That's going to go on Emmanuel Forbes to protect the boundaries, to protect the field outside of the numbers, and force Kyler Murray to beat you over the middle of the field. The key matchup to watch out for, Marvin Harrison Jr., somebody that I've compared to a younger Devontae Adams in his prime. I think he's already among that type of receiver. He is that good of a route runner. He's got super reliable hands. He's going to get open, and he can make tough catches. Benjamin St-Juste is going to be the physical, long-armed corner that is going to be responsible for guarding him. I wouldn't be surprised even if he shadows him wherever he goes, just because of the size differential here. So I do think that Benjamin St-Juste is going to have his hands full in this one, and if he can shut him down, this Commanders defense is going to have a chance at success. Another thing that the Commanders need to do this time on the offensive side of the ball is get B-Rob going. You're just not going to have Austin Eckler in this football game. He's already out with a concussion, so that means it's going to be B-Rob that's getting most, if not all, the major carries in this football game. But the good news is I think that the Cardinals are a little light up front in their front seven, so I think you can bully them in the run game. So that's going to be the number one thing that this Commanders offense has to do this week. You got to run the football, and you got to run it effectively to wear down this opposing defense. Then you got to keep Jaden Daniels hot, man. I mean, obviously, unbelievable performance last week against the Cincinnati Bengals. I don't expect him to complete over 91% of his passes again this week, but I can expect him to have another really good performance and him to be dealing down the field, intermediate, finding his check down, doing all the things that pro quarterbacks need to do, and then he adds the extra spice with that ability to run the football. I want to see Jaden Daniels maybe not rest on his laurels here and not, pat himself on the back and pump his chest after that amazing performance last week. On a short week here, I want to see him get refocused and tear apart this Arizona Cardinals defense. Then the final thing is here, you got to execute on your deep ball opportunities, because Terry McLaurin is going to be going up against kind of a lackluster secondary here. There's going to be opportunities to get 17 the football deep down the field. Now, we saw Jaden Daniels and Scary Terry connect on more than one occasion last week against the Bengals. That needs to happen again this week, in my opinion. You got to get that connection continuing to grow so they can foster a really special connection as the season goes on. That's going to be the key matchup here. Terry McLaurin going up against their man corner, Sean Murphy-Bunting, who's okay, but he's kind of had a rough start to his season. I think he's more of a number 2 corner than a number 1 guy. Terry McLaurin, make no mistake, is a true number 1 guy. He's going to be going up pretty much against a number 2 corner, so he has the matchup advantage there. Jaden Daniels needs to take advantage of that mismatch. And I do think that this game is going to be a shootout at the end of the day. I don't think that the Commanders' defense is particularly very good. You're not going to have Cleveland Ferrell again. Emmanuel Forbes is coming back, but how much better does that really make the secondary? I guess we'll see. I do think that this Cardinals offense is going to do a really good job. Kyler Murray's going to have a really, really good day. But I also think the Washington Commanders will have a good day offensively, and it's going to be into the 30s, and it's going to be a shootout, and it's going to be a bloodbath. And I think the winner here is going to go to the home team. I think the Cardinals will end up getting this one. I think the Commanders are feeling pretty darn good coming off of that Bengals game, so they might be in for a letdown game. The Cardinals are currently at 1-2, so they really want to get back to 500. The Commanders the Commanders are coming off the short week, so they have that disadvantage as well. So I think it will be close. I think that this could go either way. It's going to come down to which quarterback makes the big play in the fourth quarter. We saw Jaden Daniels do it last week. If he does it again, they could absolutely walk out of this one with a win. But I do think those kind of little advantages here do go to the Cardinals, and I think that will make the difference in this football game. So voice your opinion down there in the comments section for me right now. Predict the final score of Commanders versus Cardinals in Week 4. Do the Commanders get to 3-1, or do they come back down to earth a little bit here and go to 500 at 2-2? Let me know what you guys think down there in the comments section. Make sure you guys click that subscribe button if you haven't already. We got in-depth Commanders previews for every single game this year, every single week. So if you want this kind of in-depth Commanders coverage every single day here on YouTube, make sure you join the almost 20,000 subscribers already a part of the Commanders Report family.